24 hours away from the general primary election, Assembly Speaker Vincent Prieto, U.S. Senator Menendez, and U.S. Senator Cory Booker all came to North Bergen to cheer on Hillary Clinton through her daughter, Chelsea Clinton, who was speaking in front of a number of residents. Prieto kicked off the event by stating that Hillary Clinton, a former U.S. Secretary of State, will be ready on day one and has the values necessary to lead our country, unlike presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump.
As elections do matter, and it's important that we pick somebody to be our next leader of the free world that will be ready on day one. We know Hillary has the values that we see here in North Bergen, in Hudson County, and in the state of New Jersey for diversity, that we work together to put people together, not the presumptive Republican nominee that wants to build walls and barriers and actually uses things like people's heritage against them, that they can't do their job. So this is a very important election for us.
Booker then fired up the crowd before introducing his colleague, friend and mentor, Bob Menendez.
A guy who has been a friend of mine, who's been a mentor of mine. For the last 2.5 years, I've had the privilege to be your United States Senator. This has been a guy who has every single day battled and labored for New Jersey.
And I know between the time that she was in the Senate and the time as Secretary of State, that she understands the challenges we have in this world. The challenges of a nuclear North Korea, the challenges of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, the challenges of a China that sees itself rising. And it understands who our friends are and who those who are our adversaries. Not like Donald Trump, who has a world vision that isn't a vision, that ultimately says that Putin is a good guy in Russia, and that North Korea is someone he can deal with, but takes our greatest ally in the world, Great Britain, and offends them. That is not who we can have holding the nuclear code and ultimately making the decision of whether our sons and daughters go to war. That's why we need Hillary Clinton.
Chelsea Clinton, who is expecting her second child later this year, took the stage to proclaim, "This is the most important presidential election of my lifetime," and admitted an expected personal bias towards her mother, whom she referred to as her role model. She also predictably went on the offensive against Trump, criticizing his almost normalization of hate speech.
I never thought I would see in my lifetime the now almost normalization of hate speech that we hear from Mr. Trump and coming out of the Republican primary. That place of prejudice, to build a wall around our country, to kick out 11 million people who are here working hard for lives of dignity and opportunity for themselves and their children, to keep a list based on religion of Americans, to not allow people to come into our country because of their religion, to not allow judges to rule on certain cases because of their backgrounds. None of that is our values, and it certainly doesn't represent the future that I believe we all want to see for our children.
She also touted some of Hillary's accomplishments, such as home instruction for parents of preschool youngsters.
I hate children. When my mom was First Lady of Arkansas, she brought the first public early childhood education program that the state had ever had, a program called HIPPY, so it's an easy name to remember. And HIPPY's now in 26 states. She started the first program in our country, and hundreds of thousands of children have now gone through HIPPY, in part because of her efforts. To me, that's what real change and leadership for our values looks like.
When asked what advice she would tell her mother to give supporters of Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders after the primaries are over, she drew a parallel to Hillary's presidential run in 2008.
And I'm very proud that after my mom conceded, I think it would be hard to point to two people who worked harder to elect President Obama than my mom and my dad did in 2008.
I'm John Heides with the Hudson County View, the eye of the community.